Philly Escape Pod episode 25. It's kind of ironic because on Thursday, 25 is coming back to town. And I think we'll probably talk a little bit about what the fans should do. I won't be at the game. I don't know if you guys have spent, it was probably $20 a month ago, and now it's probably going for 500 for, the nosebleed type seats. But let's make this a pod all Sixers. Milestone for the pod, milestone for us. Getting James Harden in the building. Deal is done. Morey made it happen. So let's start with where were you guys? Where were you guys when you heard of the Harden trade? What were you doing? Let me get some of the feels, some of the feelings run through your head. And then also, how did you first feel about this when you first heard about the trade?
Well, yeah, I feel like I'll go first, I guess, because I feel like this podcast, especially, we have so much to talk about for you guys. We haven't recorded in a few weeks, really, and it's been like the most active few weeks in a while for Philly sports, at least.
Yeah,
and
definitely the Sixers.
Yeah, definitely the Sixers. Maybe one of the most wild few weeks in Sixers history. For me, when I first heard the news, because like we were all anticipating a deal. Morey had said we're in the deal zone, right? Like the day before it happened.
It's game day.
I was in the deal zone for like 36, 72 hours or something at that point. I was sitting at work. I would just go to the bathroom, pretend like I had to go to the bathroom and scroll Reddit looking for like updates. Like, because it was the deadline was
at 3.
What you gotta do. Yeah, the deadline's at 3. Expect a deal around that time. I think I went to the bathroom at like 12:30. Nothing was there. And then I got a text from you, Caputi, I'm pretty sure. And that let me know that it was happening. And I was just like, what? And I just spent like the whole rest of the day elated. I was like, I don't know. I was flying high. It's just so exciting. It's ridiculous how exciting it is. We have a legitimate team. I don't know. We'll get into it later. We'll always remember, I guess, where we were when that happened.
Well, it's funny you say that because I can't remember where I was when that happened. But I think I was home.
I can't answer the question.
I'm pretty sure I was home, and I'm pretty sure I did text you guys right when it popped up on my phone that the deal was confirmed. But like, all I could think of is like so the whole talks when we were like talking about getting James Harden probably actually started like last year, right? The one before it got traded to the Nets, and I could think of like that. Like we're never gonna get James Harden on our team. That would be insane. Like we'd be too good.
Not us.
Like
not Philly.
We'd be too good if we had James Harden. And now we got James Harden. We have a former MVP, 8-time All-Star, and we have Joel Embiid, the current MVP, and however many All-Stars. Like we have 2 of the best players in the NBA. We have a crazy good supporting cast. Tyrese Maxey's coming out as a young superstar. He'll probably get even better and better. He is getting it better and better, and it just looks like the team is like ready to make a run. Especially like from like a locker room standpoint, they seem like they're so hyped.
That's what. Yeah, I feel like with this episode we have so many different topics we could talk about for the Sixers that we're going to get into for everybody. I feel like we could talk about the actual logistics of the deal. We can talk about how the team has been doing with James Harden. We can talk about how the other players on the team have been playing. Like incorporating him into the offense, how they've been playing off ball with him. We can talk about all their post game interviews. We can talk about the fallout of Ben Simmons leaving Philadelphia. We can talk about him coming back. We can talk about I don't know. There's so many things that we're going to get into, and I think it's very exciting.
Yeah, I think you laid out a good agenda there, Jackson, for the whole show. So let's dive right in it. I was vibing, and I'm still vibing. Right, I was tuning into the radio, WIP. I was in that same 36-hour period where I'm like, all right, I'm listening to everything on the radio. I'm tracking this as it goes along. Had my turkey hoagie with mayo, just vibing, just riding down the road. And I'm like, we got Harden. We didn't give up Maxey. Nobody could be pissed off because, everybody was like, if you're going to make this happen, just don't give up, your young talent in Maxey. And we didn't have to do that. And, a lot of people agreed to let go of Thibault if that's what it took. And we didn't even, have to put him as a trading piece. But let's start with the logistics of it.
Well, before we even get into all right, we'll go logistics, and then I want to get into.
Then we'll go into
the media storm that sort of circulated before he even played a game with us.
Yeah,
and just sort of what the reaction was to everything.
So reaction after. So let's go through the logistics, right? So 2 first-round picks, 1 protected, 1 unprotected. We also gave up Seth and obviously Ben Simmons and Andre Drummond in. For the trade of Harden and then Paul Millsap, which we'll get into Millsap and what we thought he could be. It's not looking like it'll it'll pan out. I mean, he looks his age, right? But the big idea here is that we're getting Harden, high powered, big three offense. You're losing a shooter, you're losing a backup center, which again, what you have to think about is without Harden, with the team as it was, with Seth and Andre Drummond, you're not getting a championship. And so that's one thing to consider. So that's logistics wise what the trade actually was. Jackson, I think you and I went back and forth on it as far as like what the media reaction was, but I think before seeing Harden play, before seeing Harden play actual games, and obviously Ben hasn't played to this point, the media reaction was, the Nets won this by, maybe
they're like a landslide, they said.
like a landslide, like a B plus, maybe the Sixers C because you're getting Harden. I couldn't disagree more, and I think they're all biting their tongues a little bit just because seeing Harden play and how they play together, and where's Ben right now? He's still on the bench, so
not even on the bench.
not even on the bench.
He's not even in the building.
Soon to be on Thursday. But
is he going to be on the bench? Because they said that he might not even show up.
Talks are he'll be on the bench.
Okay.
I don't want to get into Ben yet, and Ben has been on the bench recently. He hasn't not been on the bench.
Right.
But I wanted to get into that whole thing because the media did, and I might be getting ahead of myself a little bit in this, but the media did sort of say it was like a landslide for Brooklyn. A lot of people were saying that it was a win-win for both teams. But even I remember Stephen A. Smith saying that it was this was going to go down as the worst move in Morey's entire career. And you could really see the narrative sort of switch so hard from the Sixers need to get rid of Ben Simmons for anything. And then we trade him for like one of the top 30 players of all time. And they're like, Harden's fat, Harden's bad. He's a selfish player. He's not a good teammate. He's not going to want to win. He's going to give up on the team instantly. Joel's not going to be able to play with him. It was absolutely insane. And I'm surprised some of these people are even still have their job after those takes. What were they? It was just, even after that though, because we played the Timberwolves, who are really good right now. We beat them by 30 points. They went on to tear after we beat them, beating other good teams. And then we beat the Knicks twice in a row. And I remember after those 3 games, it was clear that the team was really good with Harden, and the media was still saying they're bad. Wait till they play a good team. They're not going to get along. Wait till the honeymoon phase is over. Some guy said that there were 5 or 6 other duos in the East alone that were better than Harden and Embiid. So it's just the media has completely lost their mind regarding James Harden and the Sixers. It doesn't make any sense to me.
You go, Brits, and then I'm about to go in because this is I got beef episode with a lot of people. So Brits, go in on this media real quick.
Yeah, I kind of have a lot of beef with the media too. I think the absolute best thing I heard on the Sixers side was that it was good for both teams. What are the Nets doing right now? The Nets look like trash. Yeah. KD is back now. Like
just for reference though, the Nets are 3-17 in their last 20 games.
The Nets are literally garbage. I mean, everybody says if you can get KD and Kyrie to play at the same time, they're unstoppable. And now they got Ben Simmons, and now they got Seth Curry. They got a shooter. Like, I mean, that's yet to be seen. I mean, they've played is it even like 20-something games together? Like, nobody has ever seen them play that good at a high level other than like a few games last year. They look like absolute garbage right now. I don't see how people can put the Nets above us right now, especially from the same narrative that they say, oh, Joel Embiid and James Harden can't play with each other. Joel's gotten better in the last 5 games. Like, he's literally better than he was before. James Harden had like 15 assists last night or something. Like, oh, he can't pass the ball. He's not a passer. He's a selfish teammate. Yeah. 15 assists?
Here's the thing.
Ben's like best game ever. He had like 15 assists. Like he's literally just as good as a passer, and he's a 10 times better scoring threat. I don't get it.
That's what the thing is, because Ben is definitely an above average passer and an above average defender, and that might be doing him a disservice because he's a really good defender and passer. But James Harden is literally he's the only player in NBA history to be this good at scoring and this good at passing. He's the best at that. If you want somebody who's good at both categories, he's the best ever.
Yeah.
So it's like
the only thing he lacks is defense, and it seems like he's been trying his ass off to like get better at defense, or like
he got 5 steals in one game.
At least put in the effort to play defense.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's showing too with the steals. I mean, he's. I need to take a breath because I can go in on these guys all day. I have it's just everybody's just so hypocritical. I mean, how do you go like that from hating on Ben and saying like, all right, this guy, he's making everybody who worked hard for for this type of job look bad. Stephen A. Smith, who was on Ben's case constantly saying like he needs to show up. He needs like how do you flip the switch that quickly to go from okay, this is the worst deal, when they were saying, oh, just go get a just anybody who's out there, anybody on the streets rather than, get a James Harden. So and then also, oh God, Howard Eskin too. He's another one.
I hate him
How
so
do you
much.
show up to Harden's first press conference? And the question that you ask is, due to this trade, what does this look like for your future first round picks? Is it true that now you don't have a first round pick, eligible first round pick until 2029? Even if that's the case, we're thinking of right now. So that's one. And two, you need to strike now in order to get a championship. You need a Harden in order to get a championship. So and also just be excited. Like why I just don't understand why people, both Philly and then outside of Philly, why can't you just be excited for this type of thing? And then, I take a look at each guy, Harden and Ben, a guy who you can make the case for Harden. Okay, also a guy who doesn't take accountability. He's been moving around from teams to team. I mean, it seemed like he made it very clear from his press conferences that he wanted to be in Philly. He wanted to be with this guy Morey. He didn't want to go to the Nets the entire time, and I thought that was clear in, I guess, his actions. When he was there and kind of just his emotions there. But you look at Ben, guy who doesn't have accountability, puts all his problems on everybody else. How are we supposed to thank Ben if he hasn't thanked the city of Philly, for everything that we've done for him and celebrating him and picking him up when he's down? You're looking at two guys, and it's clear, it's pretty evident, where they're at now. Harden, you know, 20, 25 points a game, 15 assists, averaging these numbers, across like 5 games, but making everybody better. And it's so clear in just how open he's getting these guys. I mean, now you just need the guys to step up around him, right? I mean, he's giving you the open looks. Tobias, I need you to step up. He's there and he's physically there. He's physically on the court. Haven't seen Kate, Katie's just coming back. The whole talks was with Kyrie is like, oh, okay, New York's going to lift the restrictions. He's going to be able to come back and play home games. They're going to gel together. They won this trade because they're winning the future and then they're also winning the now. I'll tell you what, Brooklyn fans, like, wait till you see the real Ben, and you've already seen him. He's not on the court. I mean, Seth and Drummond got on the court in within a week, and it's back soreness. It's always a different excuse until he gets what he wants, and that's Ben Simmons cares about Ben Simmons, and that's it. But James Harden, very clear that he wants to win a championship. He wants to do it with these guys, and he's not selfish because he's delivering the ball. He's getting the ball to everybody else. Embiid's still having his 30 a night, but then Maxi's also having 30 a night on average.
It's
so
crazy.
it's just insane.
The guy, like you said about guys stepping up around him, they pretty much are. I mean, the only guy who needs to like show a little bit more is Tobias, but then again, he's kind of gotten back to like average Tobias, where he's putting up 20 points, like close to 20 points, which is pretty much all we need from him. Like if we can get him from like 15 to 20 points a night, I mean, Maxi, Joel, and Harden are gonna pretty much put the rest of that like together to win a game. And yeah, I mean, the way that Tyrese Maxey has come alive with Harden, when people were saying like, "Oh, is this gonna work?" Because he was like kind of our point guard before. Now they're kind of sharing the ball, like when it comes to bringing the ball up the court. I mean, the whole team just seems like they're getting better. It looks like a perfect match. I mean, maybe we're like, it's too soon. I mean, but looks like a perfect match as of now.
I've got a few things to say to what you guys have said. I'm trying to hold my tongue and not interrupt as much as I normally do.
We have a lot to get off our chest.
So I wanted to say first off, because Peter, you were saying it seems very clear that James Harden wants to win a championship, and I agree with that. But I wanted to make a distinction in that in that statement. James Harden wants to win a championship in Philadelphia.
Here, right now.
Very clearly, it seems like, and I love that, dude, because it's like when I've been thinking, because I was thinking about this before even the podcast. It's like, when has anybody ever, like, from another city, like a superstar, wanted to win a championship specifically in Philadelphia? It's
Yeah,
like,
it
he
doesn't
was on the
happen a lot.
Rockets. Yeah, he was on the Rockets.
Yeah.
He goes to the Nets, and it's like, the Nets, like, granted, they're kind of sus, dude. Like, they have KD, one of the best players in the NBA. You have to give him the props for that. KD's great, but it's like, then you have Kyrie, who's not vaccinated. He can't play half the games, and even when he can play the games, it's like, he's kind of like a net negative. He's not super efficient. Well, I mean, he is efficient, but like, he's just so bad, like fundamentally bad at defense, that he's almost like a net negative when he's out there. And I think there's a reason why, like, teams like the Celtics, like, they were really good. They got to the finals before they had Kyrie, and then they get Kyrie and they're bad. And then Kyrie leaves, and the entire fan base of Boston is like, he's horrible. And then you go on the Nets subreddit, and they're like, Kyrie is so bad at defense that he's like literally losing us games, even though he's scoring so many points. So it's like, if that's what's going on, and then Kyrie's in the locker room burning sage to get rid of like the bad vibes, and Harden's like, "You've already won a championship. I've never won one. I want to win one. You don't." It seems like it's like,
Yeah.
I would want to get out of there too. And it's like, and then he forces his way out of a situation to come. It's like, I don't blame him. It's, some people would say it's in bad taste, but like, I understand why he wanted to get out. He wanted to come to Philadelphia, which is mind-boggling to me. I feel like, side note, like, we got Bryce Harper. We got Jimmy Butler a few years ago. Harden sits out to come with us. Philly's becoming like a sports free agent destination, it seems like, almost. And then he comes here. He's just so fucking dedicated. It makes no sense to me. Like, he's literally, he's so dedicated. Do you guys hear in the press conference for the post game yesterday? After the game, he was just running up and
I
down the
saw that.
bleachers. He was just sprinting up and down the bleachers to get better. They're like,
Yeah.
"Why did you do that?" And he was like, "Because if I don't do that, I won't be as good as I am," or something. He's like so dedicated. And even like you were saying, like,
Yeah.
players need to step up. All of Philadelphia is like, fucking what the hell, Tobias? Because everybody else is playing way better now that Harden's here. Tobias went from averaging 20 points a game the past 2 months to where, like, now I think he's averaging like probably like 12 or 11. He's been getting better the past few games. I think he got like 15 or like whatever. I think he shot 4 for 10 last game. And I saw in the press conference, Harden, like, everybody's pissed at Tobias saying he needs to step up. Harden he looked at the stat line. He saw the 4 for 10. He was like, he didn't shoot as well as we wanted him to. He'll shoot better. We didn't have a good shooting night, but Tobias was killing it on defense. And because of his defense, we won the game. So it's like, he doesn't even care, dude. Like, people were saying he's a bad teammate and he's going to get pissed and leave if people are playing good. Tobias isn't playing good, and he's still saying, like, he's playing the defense we need to win. So it's like, I don't know. I think he's a huge team player, and I'm just very impressed from everything I've seen from Harden so far.
Yeah, he's also the thing with Harden. The reason why I think he is so like dedicated right now is because I think it's like, one, I think it's with the age. He's like getting a little bit older. He kind of is like championship or bust at this point. But like, two, like, if you think about the teams he's been on, I mean, the Rockets, and like, I guess, way back when he was on, what was it, OKC?
Okay,
Yeah, OKC. Like, they were really good. They had him, KD, and Russ.
6-man on the championship team. Yep.
Yeah,
he was just young then, though.
Yeah, they were just all so
Yeah,
young.
so-
It was like, I mean, it's hard to win a championship with a young team. They were talented, of course, but then you go to the Rockets, and he was really kind of just him. I mean, he was like literally carrying that team to that. He carried that team to what, Game 7 against the Warriors when they were like the greatest team of all time.
Well, that's what, when he carried them against the Warriors, it was like he had Chris Paul, and him and Chris Paul were carrying them against them. But then Chris Paul gets hurt and he goes out, and then it's Harden against him by himself. You can't beat the Warriors by yourself.
He almost did, though. That's the thing. He literally brought them to a Game 7, and it was pretty much just James Harden as a superstar standpoint. And that's basically what I was getting at. And then you go to the Nets, and all hell breaks loose with the Nets. KD gets hurt. Kyrie's doing all the bullshit that Kyrie does, and he's like, oh my god. He comes to Philadelphia. He's not even the best player on the team now. I mean, Joel's still the best player on the team. He's on, like, he has guys around him that are, one, Joel is MVP, so he's got the help he needs. Two, he has young players that are hungry in Thibault, Maxey, and he has like just a roster that he knows he can win with, and I think he's finally realized that, and he's gonna put everything he can to actually win a championship. And it's like, I think it's like the perfect storm for him at this point in his career at like the age he's at. And I think
Well,
that's
it's really because, like, it's like he gets the he gets the opportunity at the ring. It's his best team he's ever been on, like you're saying, Joe, and he gets the opportunity to like further his legacy by like improving Maxey and all the young players. And it's like, and like just what you said, it's the only time in his career where he hasn't had to shoulder the entire load, and he's not the best player on the team.
Right. And I think that's almost like, not to say that James Harden is, I mean, he's unbelievable. Like he easily would be on the, like he would be the best player on the team on 90% of teams. But like now he has that second guy or that first guy that he doesn't even have to be superstar carry mode. He just has to be a good all around teammate. And that seems like what he's doing.
And neither does Embiid. So so you guys are touching on a lot of like team culture stuff, and that's like a side by side comparison with the Nets, where if you look at it, it's like I think back to when Ben was sitting out at the beginning of the season, just back to Maxey, Embiid, all those guys that wanted to be there, and then there's this, Ben. He's just sitting there, phone in his pocket while practicing, just like that party pooper, just bringing everybody else down. And I feel like it was Harden, being that guy on the Nets where he's like, he just wants to win a championship, but he's dealing with Kyrie, who's, got his crazy antics. I feel like it was just a perfect swap of just Harden, a guy who wants to be here, wants to work hard, wants to get it. And sending Ben away, a guy who doesn't, to a Nets team who doesn't want it. Like, I feel like just looking at it from that perspective, it's like everybody here now, Harden, Embiid, Maxey, they all want to win. They all want to, it was like when we're talking about the Hawks and Sixers last year in the playoff series. Yeah, by talent, the Sixers were the better team, but the Hawks wanted it more. Like, I feel like you have that vibe, that culture now where it's like you have the talent and you have the right culture to like do everything it possibly takes to get a championship to Philadelphia.
Yeah, and real quick, Jackson, like the thing like you just said to me before that, the first point you made about Ben like having the switch where you get a guy out that doesn't want to be here, get a guy in that does want to be here. We didn't even mention this in the trade factor when we were talking about the trade and who won it. Ben wasn't playing for us. He wasn't on our team. We traded a guy that we basically traded the ghost for James Harden. I mean, in reality, like obviously we still had to get rid of like picks and stuff, but like, I mean, he wasn't on the court. Yeah, he wasn't on the court, and now we have fucking James Harden, who is an all-star. Like, I mean, I don't know how you could say we possibly lost the trade.
That's what I'm saying, because like, it's like our first round pick this year was Jaden Springer, and Jaden Springer doesn't even pick any. He doesn't play any games, so it's like we trade
picks in the NBA are just like.
Yeah, and like our pick this year is going to be like as bad as it was last year. So it's like we're trading Jaden Springer, we're trading our pick in 2027, which is protected, by the way. So if it's a good pick, we're still going to get it. And then Simmons, who's not even playing. And we were talking about the whole media thing and everything, but like I think the whole media controversy over the trade, and I think the ironic thing about the trade is that they're saying, like I totally agree. One team definitely did get a player that didn't want to play basketball, that was fat and out of shape, that was a bad teammate, that was selfish, and everything they've been saying. But they were wrong with who the player was.
It was Ben Simmons.
It was Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons. He was so out of shape. They tried ramping him back up, and he injured his back for like a couple of months. If that's even true, it's like it's ironic. It's ridiculous.
Dude, wait, real quick question: what are the chances that Ben even plays the game with the Nets? Is there a chance that he just doesn't play?
Yes, absolutely.
Like I honestly think there is like maybe like a 10% chance, and I'm being modest here, that Ben does not play a game on the Nets, at least this year.
If the Brooklyn crowd turns on him, which it seems like they're quickly doing,
what does he do?
There's a chance he never plays for them.
What does he even do?
And he may never play a game in the NBA again.
I mean, like Philly is definitely like one of the hardest teams to play for. New York is not far off.
I mean, well, I mean, it is Brooklyn too, so it's not like it's
not the Knicks. I guess it's different. The Knicks are definitely a little crazier, but still.
I just don't understand what the fuck the Nets think that Ben Simmons is going to bring their team. Because, like, honestly,
well, I think I
might rather have Drummond out there.
Well, I do want to take a step back because I was one of those people who are like, okay, this could be a win-win for both. The Nets finally get the defense that they thought they needed, and then we get that, closer guy who's going to take us to a championship and win it all. But that's where I was, where it was like, okay, it's kind of an even trade in that sense, but you gotta take into account the actual guy himself and what he's gonna bring to the table. Like you
Yeah.
said, Ben might actually not play a game this year for the Nets.
Well, what
Well,
I
I
was
feel
gonna
like
say, you were talking about the Nets, Jackson. Why do they want Ben Simmons? I think they did get pretty much forced into this trade. Like,
I forgot my point, but yeah,
yeah, I think
it's
that's what
like
you're trying to get at. Like, I mean, I think Morey did a really good job of like making it seem like the Nets had to do this, and I think that's kind of like
right,
the masterminding Morey did, and I thank God he did it. But like, the Nets kind of needed to get rid of James Harden because he wasn't gonna play, or it seemed like he wasn't gonna play, and it kind of like made sense because we had a guy who didn't want to play on our team. They have a guy who doesn't play on their team. That's just how it
yeah.
happened, and it just so happens that in my book we fucking easily won it.
Yeah, because I mean, Jackson, I remember us talking. It's like, where's the gun pointed at? Is it pointed at the Sixers? And it started pointing out the Sixers, but we think that Morey did such a great job in turning it back to the Nets to say, like, hey, Harden's probably, I mean, he's probably going to be leaving and coming to Philly anyway. We just have to wait. Maybe we lose a year, without him right now, but you could walk away with nothing, no Harden, no nothing from us, or you can get a deal right now. So it's kind of like, what do you want to do? So I feel like he spun that around. I don't know what actually happened, but
I think
did
he
some
definitely spun
convincing.
it around and like made it seem like they had to make the trade, which in my opinion, I don't think they had to because I think people get mad and then they get over it and Harden probably would have gotten over it and they would have been fine. But I just want you guys to think about the trade because like the media was saying the Nets were the team that got the most better through the trade. And I don't think that's true. I think if anything, they got worse because like on paper, like yeah, like Simmons is good, Seth Curry is good, and Andre Drummond's good, and they got a lot deeper as a team. Uh, even though they had to give up like more star power. But I think they kind of paired up KD, who's like the best closer in the game, with the only player in the entire league who could possibly cancel out his ability to close. Because like KD's a fucking stone cold killer. But if Ben Simmons is on the court, then you just foul Simmons and you don't even have to play against KD. So it's
That's
like
the thing.
Yeah,
I am so interested to see how the court runs
how they
with
use them.
Ben on the court with KD and
They
Kyrie.
can't use him as a point
He's
guard. They
not going
just
to be a
can't.
point
he
guard.
doesn't, and
They
he doesn't
can't,
play center. So it's like, where are they even going to play him?
and he
That's what
can't
I'm
shoot.
saying. He can't
So
shoot. He's
can't be a
not going to
power
be a
forward.
center. Are they going to play him in center?
It's like, well,
They
it's like
might.
if you want Ben Simmons to be
He
as
is
best, you have to
6'10".
build. But like, he's not that good at center, and I feel like they're going to play Drummond or something at center. But like the thing is, like, I feel like if you have Simmons, you have to sort of build your entire team around Simmons. But there's at least two players on the team that are better than Simmons, and it's not going to be built around Simmons. So I just don't, like you're saying, I don't see how it's going to work.
Yeah, I'm so interested to see that. And I
Yeah,
can't wait. I really wish he was playing against us, honestly.
You- and and you talk about closers. What? Oh, for like two in every single game in the fourth quarter against the Hawks.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
out of the
just
4 shots of the game, yeah.
shot charts within 2 feet. Within 2 feet of the basket didn't make one in the fourth quarter in any of those games.
It's
Um,
Simmons literally quit on his college
so
team.
he's just been a quitter his whole career.
it
He's just so gifted physically that you had to pick him.
doesn't like where he's at. He's a jumper. He just goes to the next thing. If he doesn't like it, he goes somewhere else.
I wouldn't be surprised if
But
like Ben Simmons like after his deal is over just like doesn't play in the NBA anymore. Becomes like a fucking gamer or whatever.
no,
Like
I said that too. I could easily see him going into esports and saying like, "This
yeah.
is my life."
He's
I mean,
I
he
probably
just
not
already
want to
good
be.
enough.
no, I mean like
He should, well,
just
yeah,
joining
yeah,
phase
but
or whatever, being a fucking phase icon or
just
something.
you know, he'll get views easily.
Like
Yeah.
everybody else in the world right now is joining phase.
So
Snoop Dogg just joined phase.
wow.
Apparently anybody can join phase.
So trading a guy who's what 40%, 50% from the free throw line to now having Harden and Embiid, the two guys that are probably get the most free throw shots in a night out of anybody, both on the same team.
They're both
Let's
shooting like
let's
88% right now. It's like crazy.
let's move away from the media perception reaction and talk about this team right now, how well they're doing, the big three as we've been describing them, and what do you guys like? You know, what do you guys like the most from what you've seen? These past 5, 6 games now that Harden's played with us.
First off, let's just right off the bat bring up the fact that they have had the best start of any big three in NBA history.
In history.
Yep.
In history.
That's a stat. Stat that.
Yeah, it's a fact.
Put on the stat line.
Yeah, because I think they were the only trio to all score 20 points in their first 3 games, and I think they did it more than 3 games. So it's kind of
Harden made some history being the first guy to go to a new team to score 20,
25 and 10 or
20,
something.
like 5 steals and like whatever crazy stats he had posted up.
Another stat, as long as we're pointing them out, I'm pretty sure Embiid just became like the 10th player all time to have 10 40-point games in a season or something like that. I think I saw that stat today or yesterday. It's something like that, around those things, like 10th of all time to do 10 40-point games in one season, something like that.
I love it.
So, Sixers are breaking records right now.
Sixers are absolutely popping
off.
And
the Nets are over there just dicking around, losing.
Yeah, Harden third all time
20
in
games
threes
in a
now.
row. Is he?
Yeah,
third all time threes.
Surpassed.
That's crazy at his age too. Like he's,
yeah.
Like he's not even like that old.
Yeah, just surpassed Reggie Miller.
So
I think we should talk about the actual impact that they've had, because like Harden comes back, Harden, we had to wait a few games, and then we had to wait through the All-Star break. It felt like a fucking goddamn 3-month like season or something in between us getting him and him actually playing, for me at least. And I don't know, how are you guys feeling that first game? Because I was literally so ecstatic going into it.
Yeah, I was like super hyped.
Yeah.
It felt like I was honestly, dude, like the way the Sixers were going, they were good. And like I would catch games like as much as I could and like watch like like highlights and stuff. But then when like Harden came, I was like, okay, we already have a team who's like 10, 12 games over 500. We were already gonna make the playoffs. Now we get James Harden in here. This is a championship run, and like for sure. Like I mean, not for sure, but I'm saying like this is like that's the goal right now, is win the East. At least win the East.
I've never felt so confident in this team, probably not as much as, since Jackson felt confident in the Jimmy Butler days of how that team was designed. Like I'll be honest,
than that team.
And it's better. And I'll be honest with you, the first half of this season, I don't know what it was. I wasn't getting into the games. I've heard people on the radio calling and say, this is the first time I've ever watched basketball, period. Like, that's it. Like, and now that they have Harden, I'm watching basketball for the first time.
It's that kind of team, dude.
It's that level of excitement. I kick my feet up. I put on the Sixers game like it's an Eagles game, almost like it's a week to week. Grab a beer.
So am I.
Grab the popcorn. Like, I can't wait to see the show, because that's just how good it feels, and like how fun it is to actually watch this team. Like, Harden comes in. He just makes everybody better. And people, guys on the team, Embiid, Maxey, the post game interviews, like you can tell they believe it too. It's not always not just seeing it in the game itself, but they're saying like, I'm catching passes like I didn't think were there before.
Yeah.
And it's nice because it's almost like a slight at Ben.
Yeah.
Like I think after the first game, Embiid had said like, I haven't had this kind of like, I forget the exact phrase, but
he
like
said,
had this.
This was the most wide open I've ever been in my entire career.
I thought he said like the past 5 years when like started playing.
No, he said his entire career is the most wide open he's ever been.
Either way, like kind of referencing his time with Ben.
Yeah.
And then also now just like it's been ever.
There was that one time, I don't know I think he made a comment on it, but I'm not sure. But I noticed during the game where Embiid, like Harden just like drills a bounce pass to Embiid, and he missed it. Like it hit his hand and he missed it. And after the game he was like, I just didn't expect it. I didn't expect him to put that ball exactly where my hand was. Like he literally hit him in the hand, and he was like, oh shit. Like my bad. Like I didn't think this was gonna come right in my hands.
Yeah, from like half court to like, yep.
Yeah.
That's it's mind-boggling how good he is at like finding the open man. And like even like the team chemistry. Yeah, like it's crazy. And like the team chemistry things, like I was listening to Niang in the press conference just say how like he's never played with somebody who can just like draw that much attention on offense and leave him so wide open, and then just at the same time hit him with a no-look pass directly in his hands. He said it's like a dream come true. And I just think it's like the effect that Harden has had on certain players on our team, it just can't be overstated. Like obviously we're all seeing Tyrese Maxey and the success that he's been having. He's shooting like 65% from three since we got Harden, which is
Yeah.
absurd. He's
Literally unreal.
Yeah.
yeah, like both Embiid and Maxey have learned how to do the Harden step back somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
like that
crazy.
quickly.
Like literally doing the Harden step back and
Yeah,
like draining them. I'm like, this is
Maxey's
nuts.
Maxey's hit it like 4 times already, and that's not including that ridiculous 360 spin shot that he hit the other day.
Oh my god. Oh my
Um,
god.
Wait, you're talking about
yeah,
talking about the layup or that he did the other day? Or
no, the
A
360
three
spin
pointer.
oh,
fake
okay.
that he did.
There was a
Yeah, I mean,
crazy
but
layup he fucking threw to the fucking moon and then just dropped it in the basket and fell off the
he's had
court.
like 500 of the most like ridiculous layups I've ever seen. It's like there's like this. It's like there's hands everywhere, and he just finds an
Yeah,
angle somehow. It doesn't make any sense. It's always
Yeah.
behind the back too, and then
yeah.
but like not even. But like yeah, we all see Maxey, but then like how about like Matisse Thybulle, who's so bad at offense, and then now Harden's finding him cutting to the rim on the regular, and he's getting like 10 points a game. Or
Yeah.
like Niang,
Yeah.
like even Niang has been a beast for us, but now he's even more of a beast. He's got like he doesn't think. I swear to God, he doesn't think on the court. He just gets the ball and shoots. He just gets it and shoots, and it always goes in. I don't understand it.
He's
Yeah.
been
But like
averaging like 15 points a game when like 20 minutes of play. It's crazy.
he
Yeah.
puts up like 10 threes a game, and he's
Yeah.
hits so many of them. And like
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw Harden took Maxey and Niang out to the club and they got steaks and stuff after the one game. I think it's just nice to see them all hanging out too. I think they're doing
Yeah.
good and they're having fun
Yeah.
together.
It's just so much fun. Like, and he's made everyone better. I mean, he's talked to everybody, and like, it's just I don't think I've ever seen this like this quick of impact like from one player like ever. And like in like my time that I watched sports, like he's pushing on Max. He's like, Maxie doesn't have a good night. He's like, you can do better. Like I
Yeah.
know you can. If he's on
And he does
Niang, like,
better.
Yeah.
and he does better the next game. If he's on Niang, like, don't drive, shoot the threes. You're a 3-point shooter. Like shoot the threes. Has a night where he goes off like 5 in a row, like in the fourth quarter. Embiid obviously just making him even better than Embiid already was. It's just amazing. I can't like I don't even know what to say because it's just like immediate effect on this team to make everybody better. But what do you guys think, if we get to the championship, right? What's that one piece that's holding us up or not pushing us over the edge when we get to that point? Because we know it's not going to be Harden, right? We know it's not going to be Embiid. They're going to show up. Maxi, even though as a young player going into playoffs, people are questioning like, okay, he's doing this in the regular season. Can he do this in playoffs? I think yes. I don't think he's a Ben Simmons where Ben has, 20 points per game regular season and then he, is a ghost in the playoffs. I think Maxi is still Maxi. But what is the one thing that you think, maybe we still need to do? We still need to get a guy, or we have to scheme something up the right way to really push us over the edge. Because for me, I feel like it's as long as guys are hitting their shots. Like Tobias, I'm not one of those Philly guys that are down on Tobias right now. I'd say, give him a shot, and then, but and I don't
What
need 20. I don't even need 20 points a game from him. I just need him to hit every open shot that he gets from Harden.
I,
Um,
my thing with Tobias, I just want to say real quick, is just that like he's shown for the past 10 years that like he can score 20 points a game. I think like you're saying, we just have to let him get through this slump because we know he's better than this.
and it's such a short term slump. So let him, like, Niang has to have a night, in that game 7, game 6 of the championship where he goes off for 5-3, like randomly goes off for 5 threes. Like I feel like all that stuff has to happen. But do you guys have any? I don't want to be the guy dragging us down for so much fun that we've been having in the past couple of weeks. But what do we need to do to make sure that we get the trophy at the end of the day?
I would say like the better question is what is the thing that's holding us back if there is one? Because like
There is one small thing I think, but it's not.
I would say, and the only thing that comes to mind is the state the obvious, it would be Tobias if he doesn't get better. But another thing is, I guess you gotta like look at Doc and see if he can like coaches like the way he needs to in the playoffs. Because there was a lot of mistakes I think he made last year, especially against the Hawks. But like from another standpoint, like I don't know how you scheme against our team right now. How does an opposing coach scheme against our team? And like, I don't see how you do it effectively, at least, or like consistently, at least. I mean, you can definitely like we're gonna drop some games in the playoffs, but I don't know. Jackson, go ahead, because it seems like you got something on your mind.
Yeah, I guess this is the point. I was thinking, like, in my head, I'm like, oh, I don't agree with Britz's take, but like, we don't all have the same takes. I guess at the point of a sports podcast, I got to disagree with you sometimes.
I'm not saying those things are gonna are going to happen. I'm saying like those would be my things that would be potentially what would hold us back.
I just think that to say that Doc, I mean, no, I do agree with Doc, but I think to say it's Tobias is a little short sighted. I think that like, yeah, like since Harden's been here, he hasn't played that great, but like, it's only 5 or 6 games, and the 2 months before that, he was averaging 20. Like, I do think like I get what you're saying because we're paying him the third most. He should be the third highest scorer.
And
And
just real quick, I'm only saying that because it's like the only thing that could come to my head, and also even if
yeah,
Tobias
we're nitpicking
isn't
at this point.
even if Tobias isn't putting up 20 points, I still think we can win a championship. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Without him
Yeah.
doing that.
Right.
But go ahead.
It's because of Maxey that I think you think that because like
Right.
Maxey, even though he's not being paid to be, is clearly our third star or whatever.
Right.
But like, okay, so like at this point, like what you're saying, we're just nitpicking because
I
it's
mean,
tough to.
there might be something that comes up in a future game that we see and we're like, okay, that needs to not happen in the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Like, I'll say this, like, I don't think it's tough to find a flaw. Like, I think there's a definite flaw with our team. I just don't know if it's going to stop us from winning a championship. I think it's kind of minor. But I think the biggest flaw with this team right now is very clearly a backup shooting guard. Because right now, like, since we've gotten Harden and Doc said that he wasn't going to ever have, like, we have Tobias, Maxey, Harden, and Embiid, and he said he wanted 2 of those 4 players on the court at all times. And I think he's been doing a pretty good job of doing that, actually. So when the backups are on, a lot of the time, Harden will be our primary ball handler. But there's that, like, we need that extra shooter, that role that Furkan had been occupying up until recently. And Furkan, as we know, has shot like 10% since January. So that's
it's kind of been an afterthought at this point.
10% from 3. But yeah, like, he was our backup shooting guard up until last game. He was getting minutes. That was the first game he didn't get any minutes. And I think we're going to see a competition between Furkan, who at this point needs time off and probably isn't going to win it, Shake Milton, and Isaiah Joe to see who's going to be that backup shooting guard shooter that we need to be playing off ball Harden. I don't know who it's going to be. I think that we do probably have the answer already on the team. I don't think we're going to have to sign somebody, but I think that's something to just look at that's going to have to get figured out before the postseason.
Yeah.
The 3-point shoot. That's it for me. Like, I wouldn't isolate it just to Tobias, but your 3-point
Tobias is hitting
shooting.
shots. Tobias isn't bad, I wouldn't say at this point.
Right, your 3-point shooting should be on, and that's, I mean, those from to Britz's point. I don't think there's a trend yet. I think we'll have to see. Looking at the remaining games of the season, like what are those problem areas? But like, if you look at some of the games where we lost. What?
When they win every single game, it's tough to find a negative trend.
And not only win by 15, 20, 30 points. I mean, against good teams. But like, if you're
we did lose against the Heat though.
If you're just looking at the Heat 99-82, if you're only putting up, again, Harden not in that game.
Also back to back where they flew to Miami at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Right. Right. I mean, there's a lot of factors. You can't
win that game.
There's a lot of factors.
Scheduled loss, someone said.
I know. Right? Scheduled loss is how we termed it. But
also, Embiid was on a turnt ankle and an upset stomach, by the way.
Also, but
I don't even want to hear that. I don't even want to hear that.
But the trend of the night. I mean, if you're looking at the stats, the shooting was there. I mean, like, consecutively missed shots, and
we were like, oh my god, we were abysmal from 3 that day.
Exactly, and so that's what I think. And I mean, if you're going to the East and you have to work your way, get through Miami, I think we still beat them, but they really wear you down.
Miami's good
before you get there.
Miami is good.
That's
and they
tough
just added Depot too.
Debo Samuel
and Victor Oladipo.
I mean, if Debo Samuel can play anything.
They just that's crazy. So
do we want to?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, do we want to I don't know if you had anything else scheduled to talk about I mean, do we want to look at like a way too early playoff predictions?
Well, we
You have
can.
people that I'm scared of in the playoffs. Yeah. Can we
Real,
let's just
go ahead.
brainstorm and see if there's anything else we want to talk about? Because there's definitely some things
So
that I probably could talk about.
one thing that I want to talk about before we can go to playoff predictions, we can kind of close out. March 10th.
Oh yeah, we
What
have to get into that.
Yeah.
what do the fans do? Because I've heard a lot of different things. Is it snowballs or celebrations? Do we boo him out of the place? Do we do absolutely nothing not to give him any kind of attention? Or do we put up a celebratory video of thank you, Ben, for all your years of service here?
Well, there's some
no
more
way that
context.
happens.
Hold on. I think there's some more context that needs to be had with this, actually. Because
Okay.
obviously the first reaction of anybody is fucking snowball him, dude.
Yeah.
Like, everybody fucking toss up the birds and just yell at him the entire game. But, like, the context of this is that people think that the reason he's going to come and sit on the bench is so that he can get proof that the Philadelphia
Grievance.
crowd has verbally abused him so that he can use that to then justify his fake mental illness and recoup the money that he lost from sitting out from the Sixers.
For the grievance to get that $20 million back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That's it. I didn't think about that.
It's kind of a
very
tricky
possible.
situation.
Well, the thing that I've been hearing is like, I mean, I just hope nobody does anything stupid, like anything rash. That is
let's
like,
start with that.
let's like, I mean, obviously, we don't have the biggest audience, but if I had the biggest audience,
followers out there.
if I had the biggest audience, I would be saying, don't do anything stupid. Obviously, don't throw anything at him. Don't say
popcorn.
don't say anything absurd. Like, I mean, boo him, say your piece, not respectfully, but like, say your piece in a way that is acceptable. I mean, he's gonna get, some shots thrown his way. I just hope it's in a way tasteful, I guess.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know. It's like I don't want to give him the satisfaction of winning that grievance and getting the money back.
Right.
But then I think back in my head and I remember like years ago, like probably 5 years ago, 4 years ago, when the Sixers were playing Westbrook, and there was that one old Philadelphia fan who was like sitting right at the edge of the seats, and I just remember him going like "fuck yeah" to Westbrook. Westbrook got so mad, and he went over and was like yelling at him, and I just have that guy's image, that face in my head.
I can see it right now. I can see it right now.
And I want a repeat of that, and I want him to get in his head. I almost feel like if we have like 5 or 6 people like that, just flipping him off, Simmons might get into a fight with somebody in the crowd. I think that's not out of the realm of possibility.
I think we have to go all in whatever we do, but let's be honest. Let's be realistic. What's going to happen is it's going to be the loudest boos we've ever heard ever.
Yeah.
There's a 0% chance we don't boo him.
It will be boos. Let's be honest. That's just what's going to happen. To Britz's point, like no popcorn. Don't say anything that you should not, say. Boos. I think the celebration.
Don't throw anything at him.
Celebration is ridiculous. Like there's no way you should get any credit for.
No, that is
just
if that happened, people might boycott the Sixers.
Yeah, way to lose us as fans. Like, just please don't go.
Somebody was saying they should put up a Ben Simmons career highlights video that just has like a big long intro and then no highlights in it, and it just.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like some kind of sarcastic thank you video where it's like, "Oh, thank you, Ben," and then it's him missing shots, dude. Or like that the dunk.
That would be the most savage thing in like the history of sports.
That would be pretty damn savage.
Career lowlights of just like him, or like, and even just showing him like year after year saying like, "I'm gonna practice my threes, I'm gonna get better," and then him in the fucking gym shooting them, and then coming back missing them, not shooting them. It's like
oh man!
Fucking make him cry. I say, make him cry.
It's just like I just don't have respect for him because it's like, okay, if you bring up the mental. So real quick, I'm kind of going in the rabbit hole here, but from his press conference, first one with the Nets, he did kind of have that that clue of, I was going through some mental stuff at the time. It was personal. It wasn't necessarily the organization. So I kind of draw that back to what we've talked about as a group, with
Yeah.
his family situation.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like the only Philly Escape podcast, only place to actually talk about that thing, because I have not heard that anywhere.
It's
Yeah.
still not mentioned, by
Um,
the way.
Yeah.
so and still not mentioned to this day. We don't have to bring it up and go into it, but I feel like, okay, fine. If that's what caused your mental situation, I get it. But don't act like the Sixers organization didn't do anything and everything in their power to help you
Yeah.
with that. So why would going to another organization, going to a new place, going to a new set of fans, all of which supported you here, fix those problems? Like
Also,
I can't get behind that.
Also, hey, if that's the reason why you're having mental issues, maybe don't spend the following 6 months saying the reason you're having mental issues is because you hate Philadelphia fans, you hate Joel Embiid, and you hate Doc Rivers,
Yeah.
and
Right.
saying they all three under the bus and treated you horribly. And then when they offer to come and be there for you and be a good teammate and be a good friend, you say don't come, and then you yell at them for not coming. But what do you want, dude?
Yeah. Yeah.
Pick something. Don't just have 8 different stories and then choose whichever one fits the narrative at that time
Works
to make you
best
look
for you.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say what should happen. Honestly, I kind of just want to put the whole Ben thing behind us, and I know it's
Yeah.
impossible to do when we're playing against Ben, but like
Has been?
has been, yeah,
Oh.
never was. um,
Oh.
I
Oh.
mean, I mean, it's almost
How
just
about
like boo the crap out of him at the start of the game, and then just ignore him.
at the very least, if you don't boo him, right? Door number 3, just break the Guinness World Record for how much you could cheer for a player once James Harden's name
Yeah,
is
yeah,
announced,
there you go.
and
That's
just
good.
say like, "Our savior,"
Yeah,
you know. But he's going to get booed, and I'm okay with it. I get the grievance thing, but I just don't like verbal abuse from fans. Like real, like wouldn't he need some like evidence of that? There's no evidence to support that, and also like, isn't it more abuse from the organization that he would need to get in order to support that argument?
yeah.
Like, I just feel like that's such a stretch.
So
For
see, that's when the
I get it adds to his ammunition for his case, but I feel like it's so
if
much of a stretch argument.
if we did do
Yeah,
our
well, I mean,
idea of the career lowlights, that might be enough.
yeah,
Well, that would be overboard. That would
Yeah,
probably be over the line.
that
But
might get him
yeah,
his 20 mil.
yeah,
and like realistically, I think that like nobody in that's like sane thinks that Ben Simmons is not the bad guy in this situation. He's acted like the most
yeah,
self-righteous piece of shit like
Yeah,
ever. And I think everybody knows he's in the wrong. And I
yeah.
think no matter how much we insult him to like on the 10th, he's gonna lose his grievance. So and also like you were saying, this is Philadelphia. No matter what anybody says, we're gonna have like 15 people sitting 2 rows behind him talking so much shit
yeah,
the
yeah.
entire game.
That's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
And it's
yeah.
just there's no point in trying to stop it. He's gonna get made fun of, and he's gonna cry like a little baby, and we're all gonna enjoy it.
Probably gonna cry. Probably is.
Yeah,
So, all right.
yeah, I should check the bets for over under on Ben crying. Over under on minutes cried.
You have to bet like $100 to get $1 back or something.
Okay. I'll still take the over. But anyway, so let's do some quick playoff predictions then. So in that case, the Nets losing the play-in game, and the Sixers. What do we got? What do we want to predict here? What were you guys thinking?
Or
What's
what? What are we? Why?
Are we
I'm gonna,
predicting winners? Are we predicting like how far we're gonna get? That type of thing. What do you guys
well,
want to talk about?
before we get into that, I just wanted to like because I think I'd like to give the viewers some sort of context about what we're thinking about the actual playoff atmosphere right now before we just say what round we're gonna get out of. Because I do have a couple teams that I think I'm kind of scared
Yeah,
of.
that's
I
kind
know
of
the
what I wanted to
Sixers.
get into too.
Okay.
Just like the
Yeah,
teams we're scared of, teams we're
More of
not.
the matchups.
Yeah.
yeah, because like
I mean, if
I
you're
don't know.
the way it
You
looks
go,
like,
Griff.
yeah, the way it looks like to me is that we got the Heat is a tough going to be a tough team to beat. The Bucks are going to be a top team to beat. The Celtics are on an uprise right now.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah,
Bulls
Celtics
are in that top
Bulls are
tier of
Bulls have
teams.
been good all year, but we did just beat the crap out of them.
Le- yeah,
And then I mean, it's going to come down to like, I mean, I don't think there's any way we lose in the first round. I guess unless we end up playing the Nets, which I don't know if it's possible. If we get, I guess if we get the 2 seed, maybe.
Here's the thing: the Nets might not even make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let's say it is possible. What do you think, Prince?
I mean, it'd be a tough draw in the first round for sure. That would kind of suck. But at the same time, I think from what the Nets look like right now, I think we would win it. But it would be
Especially with
the worst. I think it would still be the worst possible situation for us to play the Nets first round.
Yeah, I think despite the fact that we have said that, I do fully believe that Ben Simmons is the answer to stopping KD. Like, just foul him and KD can't score at the end of the game. And I think that they do have a lot of problems with the Nets. The fact that Joe Harris is out the entire season, the fact that like their best player besides Ben Simmons and KD is like Patty Mills. It's like he's okay, but he's not that great.
Well, I mean, Kyrie's going to be playing in the playoffs.
Well, Kyrie's not going to be playing home games in the playoffs because the vaccine mandate has not been lifted.
I thought it was getting lifted, though.
I thought it was.
It's lifted for citizens, but if you're an employee that works inside, it's not lifted. So it's not going to be lifted by the playoffs, and he's not going to be able to play in home games in the playoffs. So that makes the season.
New York.
Yeah, in New York.
Tough.
So that makes the series a lot easier for us. We don't have to worry about Kyrie. We're just facing KD and Simmons. I think we can win that. I do think there's a possibility that we don't even face the Nets because the Nets have a really high chance of playing Toronto, and if they play Toronto, Kyrie's not going to be able to play at home or at away games. He's going to be out of the entire series, and I think that might be enough to make them lose. But obviously, KD, you can't count him out. So like, if they do win that, and we do have to face them, I think it's scary, but I don't think it's anything we can't handle.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it's just KD and Ben, that should be a win. If Kyrie does end up playing and this whole thing gets, if that thing does happen, I'm not sure what you're saying. It's basically like this lock that that's not going to happen, Jackson.
I think it's pretty much a lock.
Okay, then I don't see how we would lose against just KD and Ben.
Well, because like even like you have to think about it. Harden took KD when he was on the Warriors to 7 games. So like KD with just Ben, I think he can handle that.
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, Ben will mentally break in the playoffs, so he'll be a no-show. And how's he going to shoot? He doesn't, he won't remember to shoot.
Well, I mean, they're going to have KD handling the ball in the playoffs, most likely.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like, it's not like it's going to be like you can just foul Ben, Like, I mean, he might be a non-factor scoring, but like they're not going to have him bringing the ball off the court,
I mean, you do need the defense. I mean, you probably
but
put
for
it
the whole
on Harden, right?
last quarter, you can kind of just like foul him if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, is he even going to get the ball though? That's
but then if you get it to a point where like they don't want to use him to bring up the ball, then realistically at that point that's all Ben can do. So like they're playing 4v5, and if they want to take him out, then they're just going to put somebody who's worse on it. It's just KD and a bunch of scrubs. So it's like it's win-win. It's really just win-win against them.
And then a high-powered like Maxey, Embiid, and Harden. We used to play that game with like KD, Harden, and Kyrie. Like, who do you put on who? And now it's like, okay, Ben probably covers Harden, but like, what else? What else is there?
It's like, are they really going to put Ben on Embiid? That's absurd. if Ben's effectively their center, you can't cover Embiid.
I'm still interested to see where the hell Ben is going to play.
Embiid will beat Ben's ass. That will be instant fight.
For these,
you can immediately do that that rip through where the elbow like hits Ben in the face or something, dude. I can see it right now.
So wait, so for the playing games, it's 7 plays 10 and then 8 plays 9.
Yeah, and I think 7th place has the ability to lose twice before they're out.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. What about 8?
Interesting. Changes.
I think 8 1 you're done.
Okay,
I don't know that. I don't quote me on that. I think we're all kind of not read up enough on that to.
So I mean,
it's still new.
Only 1 year of it, but
for me, it's like we're too good to even care about it. So
also shout out to that guy who put the clause in for anybody who has to work inside a building still needs to be vaccinated. Probably a 76ers fan,
for real.
but so he still can't play in playoffs. But yeah, no, if there was any team that I would probably be most afraid of, probably be the Bucks because it's still Giannis. I mean Giannis, and the Heat. I mean Jimmy Butler. I just feel like he just takes such a lead on that team, and then plus guys stepping up like Robinson and what's the other guy? you know,
Hero.
Yeah, Hero. I feel like guys like that step up.
Bam's good.
I mean, I feel like they could really. They're a scrappy team.
They're deep too.
And not. I mean, scrappy from the sense that they play hard. Not that they're not talented. Like they're very talented too. So,
well, that's what they're scrappy. They're deep. They're talented. They can hit threes. They can defend. They got everything. Honestly, I just think that in a 7-game series, I think we can eke out 4 against them. I don't think they can beat us. I think we just have too much star power for them to
keep up.
Yeah, to keep up with us. I think our offense is better than their deep. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Without Harden, we were keeping up. Like it was a close game, and obviously, factor everything else into it, back-to-back games, whatever.
Exactly.
But add Harden into the mix. It's like probably scored an extra, 30 points there. Not all from Harden, but
that's why, dude. I'm not as scared against the Heat. I would like to play the Heat because I think the Heat would be a very intense and good series, an exciting series that we would ultimately win. I think it would be really good TV, and I think it would be good for us. The 2 teams that I'm scared of are, like Britt said, the Bucks. You can't count out the Bucks. The Bucks they won last year.
It's just Giannis. Giannis alone is scary, and then you got like Jrue Holiday and whatever.
Middleton. They got Lopez. They've got pretty much the same exact team. Bobby Portis, dude. Bobby with the crazy stare, Portis. They've got pretty much the same team, and they're looking to repeat. And I think it's gonna be a tall glass of water to fucking knock them off. And the other team that I'm scared about is the Celtics, dude. The Celtics have
just seem to get us. They just seem to get us. I don't know.
They're always the team to get us, and they're on an absolute tear right now. They're like only a couple games behind us. They've been statistically like the best team in basketball since January.
They've won like 17 of 20 or something like that. Something crazy.
And they have the best defense in the league.
Yeah.
And when we played them the game before we got Harden, they absolutely kicked our ass. Won by like 50 points, dude. They're scary.
Jason Tatum is on fire right now. On fire.
Yeah, and if anybody knows how to guard Embiid, for some reason it's the Celtics. Every time we play the Celtics, we can't score against them.
It was Al Horford back in the day, and now it's like it's
Al Horford again.
And it's like full circle, and it's like how? Like how? You didn't think it would happen twice?
Al Horford. I swear to God, if Al Horford knocks us out of the playoff, I'm gonna flip out.
If this ends up being a loss to a Boston team, that might be the biggest punch in the gut of all time, because I fucking can't stand Boston teams.
That would be the biggest disappointment of anything. I'd rather lose it'd be tough.
I'd rather lose to anybody else.
I'd rather actually lose.
No, you wouldn't. There's only one situation I would rather have than us losing to Boston. There's only one situation worse than us losing to Boston, and that's us losing to the Nets, where Ben Simmons just absolutely dominates us the entire 4 games in a row, and he's just dominating us.
That would never happen, though, dude. There's no way.
It can't.
He's incapable of it. It's not possible.
And he's at the end, he's like, he dunks, they win the game. He's like, guess what? I didn't have mental illness. I just fucking hated Philly.
Also, here's 95% from the free throw line.
Yeah. He spends the entire series shooting threes, and nobody else in the Nets even scores. He's just training him the entire game.
It's the most insane situation of all time.
Oh my god.
Hopefully that doesn't happen.
The Nets just seem like, they just seem like the team that falls apart. Like, you know how we were cocky last year? It's like, we'll beat the Hawks, like no problem. I feel like that'll be the Nets. Like, okay, we're gonna get to past a couple of rounds, and they just fall apart against whoever they play.
So are we kind of in agreement that if we do make it to the finals, then we win the finals? I mean, obviously the fucking Suns are really fucking good. I mean, they just don't lose. But what
people
are we
don't
thinking?
talk about them enough.
If it were me asking the question, I would say, how many finals in a row do you think the Sixers are going to win?
Okay. So we're getting to that point now.
That's ballsy.
So basically, so what you're saying is we after this season, we're gonna win this season. We're gonna dump Tobias's contract, sign Harden, and then we're gonna go on a 4-year tear.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Absolutely.
Fair enough. But starting with this year, if we get out of the East, I mean, they're the toughest of the teams that I think that we would face. I would, as a betting man, just kidding, I don't bet at all. Yeah, I take the Sixers.
Other than the Suns, I think it's just really the Warriors, I guess.
Yeah, Suns, Warriors. I think the
Clay's not
Clippers,
looking
once
like
Kawhi
himself.
comes back, will be extremely dangerous. I think
Yeah.
people are kind of overlooking them.
They're going to be in a
Like,
playoff. They're going to be in a playing game, though, probably.
I would say we should expect the Sixers to get to at least the Eastern Conference Finals, right? I'm not saying we should expect them to win because the Bucks are a good team, but we should expect to get there.
I know we say
question.
this every year because they should have they
yeah.
should have gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals the last 2 years, and we didn't.
Yep.
But like, I mean, if we don't get to the Eastern Conference Finals this year,
it'll be a joke.
That would be a joke.
Yeah.
That would be a joke.
And last year we have to keep in mind. We have to keep in mind last year, Embiid was literally playing on a torn meniscus. Like he was at like 30%. You know, like if he was healthy, we probably win the Hawks series, even with Ben playing the way he was playing.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, so but barring stuff like that and injuries and all that stuff, you have to get to the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Finals.
Have to. Absolutely have to get to the Eastern Conference
Finals. Must.
I just it's like I don't feel weird saying that, and I don't feel like I'm putting pressure on the team, or like sometimes I'd say that and internally I'd be like nervous. I'd be like, I don't know if they're actually going to get there. I feel like I'm jinxing them, you know? But like this team is so talented, and I've never seen a team want to win and like work together and just have such a hardworking attitude as this team does. I believe it. I fully believe that they're actually going to make it.
Yeah, no, I don't even think we would be saying like it's an absolute must if the last 2 years didn't go the way they did. If this was like the first year where we were like making a run, then it'd be like, okay, let's just go in with a good attitude. Because of the last 2 years, it's like, okay, we really gotta fucking get there this time. We've been trying to get there for 3 years, you know. So like we really gotta take the next step up.
And I feel like I have a good feeling about this team because if you can, like, I try to think of it like, can I look at it objectively as if I wasn't a Sixers fan and just looking at teams around the league, and could I just look at the Sixers and say like, oh yeah, they're like top contender to win this year, like they probably should, be there. Like I feel like I can do that. Where it's like past teams, I'm like, as a Sixers fan, I'm like really rooting for them to get there. I think it's possible, but like, am I 100% sure it should happen? Not really. Like I feel like,
to me, it almost feels like our offense is like, it almost feels like if you pair it up like Aaron Rodgers with Derrick Henry, who's like Derrick Henry's Embiid, Aaron Rodgers is Harden, and then like Jamar Chase as Maxey. It would be like the best offense in the entire NFL, and everybody would be like, this is fucking ridiculous. And like that's what it is. It's fucking ridiculous that we have this much power on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
We want to wrap up,
boys. On that note, I think we got high expectations for our Sixers.
Well, wait. Before we go, I think we should leave the fans with a little prediction for the Nets game. Do you think we're gonna win?
100%. Easy.
Harden's playing.
Simmons is not. Kyrie is.
I think it's.
That's gonna be a good matchup.
I think we win by 7.
By 7. Okay.
7 points.
What are you giving a score out?
118, 111. High scoring. Pretty high scoring, but that's kind of average nowadays. So yeah, 118, 111. How about you guys?
Who do you want to go first or me?
122, 116 or something like that. Okay. Nets. So no, sorry, Sixers. Sorry.
I was about to say we're on the same page here.
Sixers win it, but it's like they win it easily, and the Nets are just like coming back, shooting shots like the last couple minutes, like whatever.
That's why I think they're going to come back at the end a little bit. I'm going to say high scoring game. 133.
Very high scoring game.
To 116, and I think Embiid is going to drop a 50 bomb.
Jesus. Okay. Don't hold back. Don't hold back, Jackson.
Either way, Embiid.
Tell us how you really feel.
Embiid's gonna pop off because of the situation. Like They got
So
a
Sixers are
chip
gonna
on their
win by
shoulder.
like 20 almost, and then Embiid's gonna win by or score 50.
I just don't think that they have a center that can play defense, let alone guard Embiid. Um, I think
beat
Embiid,
up Drummond.
yeah, Drummond.
Like he used
I
to.
mean, he can get rebounds. He can't defend though. And we know Embiid. If he loves one thing, it's dunking on Drummond, and making fun of him. And I just think listening to Embiid last press conference, he said the previous few games he had been hanging out too much at the 3-point line, and he thinks that's why he was having a slow start in the games. And he said to Harden before the game on Sunday that he just want, or I guess on Monday, and he said, I just want to roll right to the basket and dominate the paint this game. And he got like 42 points. I think he's going to do the exact same thing against the Nets, and I think they're going to have less success guarding him.
I could definitely see that happening.
I'll say this: if Harden's in the game, I think it's at least like a 120, like or above type of game. That's just what I feel like. I mean,
it's been that way every game almost.
I mean, so I feel like you got to go with that. But let's shut it down there. We got James Harden, boys.
Oh yeah!
Clap it up, clap it up.
Let's go.
All right.
And this pod with the three of us has
launched and landed.
All right.
Still haven't gotten that down.
So now, 25 episodes later, and we're not there yet, but we're still going to be making pods, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right. Peace out, guys.
Adios, brothers.